Hello guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Amaka and this is Lizama Stitches. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a bubu dress. Now this bubu dress is very easy to make. It doesn't take time, it's beginners friendly and it doesn't need much measurements. So if you're here to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. This is the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. Now, this tutorial is a very simple style. This style is a very simple style. It doesn't need much measurement. It doesn't need much calculation. So now this fabric is folded into four. I folded it into two, and I now folded it again into four. Now let's assume this is my fabric. I folded it into two, and I folded it again into four. Just like when you want to cut a butterfly dress. So now I've taken my measurement. Now the full length of this dress is 60 inches, and I have 1.5 inches hemming allowance. Now this is it. Sorry, my table is small, so this is the full length of this dress, and this is the seam allowance. So I'll take it back. Now I'm going to start by taking my neck measurement. Now the neck width I'm working with is 4 inches and the neck depth is 4 inches. So I'll connect it. Now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. Now from this point, I'll take my shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 7.5 inches here. This is 7.5 inches. Now from this 7.5 inches, I'm going to take the sleeve length. Now the sleeve length I'm working with is 14 inches. So this is 14 inches. And 1 inch seam allowance, 1 inch hemming allowance, which I'm going to use to turn it. So this is my 1 inch hemming allowance. So from this point, I'm going to come down. I'm going to take the round sleeve measurement. Now the round sleeve measurement I'm working with is 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 7.5 inches here. So this is 7.5 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance gives you 8.5 inches. Now from this point, this 8.5 inches, from this point, I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm going to come in by 1 inch. And I'll just do something like this. So now, this is going to be my seam allowance. I'm going to use 1 inch seam allowance for this dress, to sew this dress. I'm not cutting off anything. So, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to mark that 1 inch. Let me just mark 1 inch down. So I'm going to pull this up because I want to shape the lower part. So now here, on this point, I'm going to come, now from here, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. From here, I'll go up by 2 inches and I'll connect this point to this point with my hip curve. So I'm going to connect this point to this point just like this. So that's how simple this dress is. That's how simple making this dress is. So I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm not cutting here. Now this is my seam allowance. I just marked it so that you know this is my seam allowance. So I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to cut the neck. Now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew here down with 1 inch seam allowance and I'll sew here. Okay. Now I'm going to notch. Now let me notch. I'm going to notch here. I'll notch here. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew this down with 1 inch seam allowance, and I'll sew here down with 1 inch seam allowance. So that's just it. Now after sewing here down with 1 inch seam allowance, I'm going to hem the lower part. Now for the lower part, I'm going to hem the lower part. I have 1.5 inches hemming allowance here. Then the neck, for the neck, I'm going to use bias to sew it, to tidy it up, to turn it. I'm going to turn it with bias. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. So this is my dress. Now I've finished sewing. So I've sewed this part and this part. I also hemmed, I folded the sleeve. I also folded the sleeve and I turned the neck with bias. So this is it. And I hemmed the lower part. That's just it with this tutorial. If you learned something from this tutorial, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel and feel free to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Lizama Stitches. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.